Just your thoughts so far on how the offseason has gone at this point, what you've seen out of the players.
Yeah, I love our team. I really like what I've observed. I just think we've got, for the first time, we've got some stability. The roster's kind of stabilized. I think we've got competitive depth. There's credible leadership at the player level. 17 starters coming back. We've got close to 41,000 snaps of experience. And so I've got confidence on what I'm observing. I think some of the changes that we made in the offseason have been impactful. So we're looking forward to playing. I think we're having to deal with it right now. This group's excited to play.
Billy, with the difficulty of the schedule, do you change maybe the way you go into the season or you approach the season knowing that, not that you didn't have competitive games in the past, but that it is so loaded? Is that making sense?
Yeah, I think there's a narrative about the schedule. I think what we've learned, and I think every coach in our league would tell you, is you got to break things up into short periods of time. You got to focus on what's next. We've got 10 more days of this training block, 45 days out from the opener. We're transition into training camp. And then it's literally about having the ability to reset every week, having the self-discipline to prepare, Sunday to Saturday, regardless of the outcome, to race the board, ignore the noise, don't believe the hype, do it again, do that consistently. And we played, I feel like we played a lot of close games. We haven't been able to close some of those out. But I think that's where we've got to leverage our experience. We finally got a group that has played in these games. They've learned those lessons. So we've competed against these teams in the past, right? So this is nothing different. Yeah.
What are those lessons? What are some of the things that you think this team needs to do in order to be able to close out some of those games and get over the hump in terms of being able to finish out?
Yeah, I was talking to Graham about that on the way here. I think it's just ultimately every detail matters, right? I think we got a smart group. We've got a group that's been in those battles. They remember that play. They remember that possession. One more score here, one more stop here, one more field goal here, a little bit better situational awareness here. So, I think over the history of this game, experience matters, right? So we're blessed that we've got a good group coming back. I think for the first time, we've got competitive depth to go with it. I think year 3, our roster's starting to look like what it should like.
How has Cormani McClain adjusted to everything since being in Gainesville, and how's he been doing the last week or two?
Yeah, he's doing fine. I think a lot of this gets blown out of proportion. I think he's a young player. Obviously, we're well aware of his history, right? So Cormani's a local kid from Lakeland. He's got relationships with players on our team. We run a tight ship. There's structure, there's routine, there's discipline, there's accountability. It's hard these days. You're in the minority if you show up in June, much less the middle of June because you're a couple weeks later. So it is what it is. The guy's, he's had a great week so far this week. He's gained 10 pounds. I think he's established, he's learning expectations, he's learning culture. And look, in the summer now, this is not, the coaches aren't there, right? This is player-led, and I think that's why I've got a lot of confidence in our team. That's why I like our team. Should be challenging for a guy who just shows up in the middle of June. It's a young player with minimal experience. So he's doing just fine. He's going to be okay.
You've talked a lot about Graham this offseason. What has been different in your mind and what you've seen from him as a year or two?
Yeah, I think there's a certain level of confidence. I think he's earned the respect of the players. He's earned the respect of the staff. You think about his journey last year, he shows up, a lot of unknowns, a lot of doubt, a lot of what's his role in the team going to be, has no relationships with hardly anybody in the building. I just think he started in a different place. It's like a rookie in the NFL. on a free agent that goes to a new team, and now he's in year 2. He earned the respect of his teammates on the field last year with his grit, his toughness, the way he competed, his production. And then I think he's just he starts as the leader of the team. It's his team. And he's doing a phenomenal job of leading from the front. I mean, this guy's really, he's pushing his team personally. And he came back with a purpose. And I think that's been evident just watching him.
It's obviously his team, and he's the starter, but is there a sense that you also need to bring DJ along, and how helpful has Graham been in that? But as games get going, how do you find ways to get DJ involved, keep him active?
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, you got to get your backup ready to play every year, right? And I think what's been fun is we've got kind of 2 different players. You feel as if when you're scripting practice, you got 2 different scenarios here. You got a guy who started 43 games, who's played a ton of football, who has a really good grasp of the system, and then you've got this rookie who just showed up, who's a different type of player, who has no experience and has a little bit different skill set. So, you know, you always have to prepare as if the backup is one play away from running out there and having to be the guy, right? So, you know, DJ, he has one thing I can say, and he's openly said this, is like, I'm getting better. That's all I can worry about, right? I need to focus on the work. I need to improve. I need to communicate better command, better knowledge of defense, better overall understanding of the system. But he's made great progress. It's impressive. It's great to see him. I felt like in the spring game, he kind of rose to the occasion, you know, as a competitor, and I thought that was great to see. So, look, it would definitely make us harder to defend if both players are able to contribute to our team. But right now, we have to prepare as if the guy's going to play every play. So that's what we're doing.
Billy, there's been a lot of outside noise just about job security and kind of where things stand. But you've kind of exuded kind of a quiet confidence the last 6 months, kind of how I've been around you. How much does that kind of maybe trickle down to your team as you guys kind of enter fall camp where you see things stand?
Yeah, I mean, I just, you know, change doesn't happen overnight. I think ultimately we kind of, timing is everything, right? I think when we took the job, what we inherited, the work that needed to be done, I think we're on schedule to some degree. You know, I mean, should we have won a couple of games down the stretch? Would I have liked to close some of those games out in the 4th quarter? Absolutely. But the reality is, I think from a system standpoint, process standpoint, in-house, the culture, I think we've made tremendous progress. And I think this offseason in particular, after observing things for 2 years, we made some changes that I think have really made a difference in our team. So I'm with our team every day. I think ultimately that's why I've got confidence.
Would you have done anything differently with the build, sort of retrospectively? You say maybe some rules have changed in the time that you.
Yeah.
So, but if you have gone back, would you have said maybe I would have built this or tried to make some things with the build differently that maybe would have, I don't know, supercharged it?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, look, there were so many unknowns. I mean, you know, every 6 months, the game has changed. Every 6 months, every cycle, every portal cycle for the last 2 years, 2.5 years. And it'll change, it's changed this cycle, it'll change the next. We're just playing, we're competing in an environment where, you know, the game is evolving as we are competing, right? So we already knew that we had a ton of work to do out in Florida, you know, from a facility standpoint, infrastructure, modernizing the approach, best practices, improving the personnel. But then here we go. The evolution of the game starts while we're doing that. Right? So, yeah, I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, I ask my question that. It's one of the things I always say every offseason. It's like, okay, if knowing what you know now, what would you do different, and how are you going to change your approach, right? I think some of the decisions that we made this offseason reflect that.
Thank you all.